natural beauty, you know. Yeah, no, I've never been someone shy until I seen your eyes. Still I had to try, yeah. Oh yes, let me get my words right and then approach you. Woman, I'll treat you like a man is supposed to. You'll never have to cry, no. I know it. So royal, and I want her in my life.
Let me officially welcome you to the house of Phyllis Wilson. I just rent a room in the back, and I'm allowed to come out on Sunday. This function is being put on by Mr. Calvin Hibbert, Phyllis Wilson, and myself. I am Basil Wilson. And we have something of a program established. We want to thank Sherry Palmer for having us, these young budding musicians. So we're going to have the musicians play a few tunes.
Our school quartet, and Friday they played for the induction for the National Elementary Honor Society. They did Mustard Seed, they did I Pledge, and so they play around a little, but we're very proud of them, although we're trying to see who is going to replace them, because quite a few of them do music privately also. So our group classes, we don't really have a particularly a cellist and a lead violinist right now that's at the same level, but at any rate, we're just grateful to come and donate our services, and it's a very good cause, and I know what it's like to run a school and not be sure of the money, so I do extend hopes that you guys will really contribute well today. All right, thank you.
It's really a joy to see an education institution build and achieve excellence within the Cambridge Heights community. But I mentioned the educators because leadership is critical for achieving excellence in any kind of educational system. And I think that if you look at Helen Douglas's history, I think she started at KC when she was about 11. But Helen really brought great stability and leadership to Kingston College. I mean, she was in charge of the scheduling for a number of years. She really was the backbone of the school. In fact, we first met Helen when the Kingston College Choir came up here, and we've become very close family friends since then. I think that runs maybe over 30 years. But her mother was one of the founders of the Richmond Park Prep School, and since Helen retired from Kingston College, she's now the headmistress or the principal of Richmond Park, and in fact has really has elevated the standards at the school. And so one of the things that we're trying to do from our end is to build the school to the fact so the kids can have more resources, and their achievement can even soar much higher. So I introduce to you the principal of Richmond Park Prep, Miss Helen Douglas.
Okay, hi everybody. I'm Helen, and before I talk about the school, I just want to thank all of you for being here. It has been really a thrilling experience for me. I had no idea that it was going to be something of this magnitude, And I know that everybody had choices and could have been elsewhere, so I really thank you for choosing to be with us this evening. I appreciate it a whole lot. Some of you I met before, some I'm meeting for the first time, some I knew of. And now I'm putting a face to the names that I've been hearing all along. Before I speak about the school too, I have to thank Basil and Phyllis. I don't know how to thank them, and Collie, for putting this together. As I said, I didn't dream it was going to be anything like this. And I am really, really grateful for what they have done. And I really hope that will bring some results. And I know they didn't do it alone. They had a whole team of people, but you're going to hear more about that later. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the school now. The school, Richmond Park Prep School, I grew up knowing about the school because it began in the early 50s, about 52 I think. And it was started by my aunt, a very private institution. She had about 4 or 5 children. And then just in the house. And then by the time she died, about 15 years later in 65, it had grown to about 20 or 30 and it was in a garage. And I'm very thrilled that somebody who was there at that time is with us this evening. 2 people are with us this evening. And you mentioned Miss Largy and her sister. Both of them attended from in those 50s. So they can testify that the school has been around for a very long time, but not very well known because not much PR. We have to agree with that. When my mother passed in 2006, as well, my mother took over in 65 when my aunt passed. And under her leadership, it grew tremendously. The population went to over 150, and then it had encroached on the house. So we moved from the property, and the whole house became the school, and then they built another block behind the garage upstairs to house the classrooms. And so the school grew. I took over in 2006, as Basil said, when I was retiring from KC after spending 37 years there, and I have been there since. The school is known mainly for academics. That's where we really excel in academics, and that has been our focus all along. So we go up to from 3 years old, kindergarten, to age 12. When the children do the GSAT, those of us who left Jamaica long ago might know of Common Entrance. We now have something called the GSAT exam. A lot of controversy about it because it's very demanding and it is very stressful because it's based on those results the children are placed in high schools. And the competition is great. Everybody wants to go to a traditional high school. The ones we knew, the Holy Child at St. Andrew, KC, JC, Calabar, St. George, etc. But those schools can take just so much and no more. So they have upgraded the junior secondary schools to become high schools, and some of the children are placed there, but they don't want to go to those schools. Although some of them have been doing very well and getting very good results, but they don't have the tradition, and so the children don't want to go to them. So the competition is great, and the stress level is very high, both for the children and the parents, because everybody wants to go to these special schools, as I said. And when you don't get placed in them, it's very difficult to get a transfer. So the children are pushed to the limit to achieve and to get into those schools. Well, people judge schools on the GSAT results, which really isn't fair, but that's how people judge a school. And a survey was done recently, and they looked at the results over the last 5 years, and they discovered that of the 200-odd prep schools in Jamaica, only 25% of them were achieving what they call satisfactory standards consistently over the 5 years. And I'm very proud that we were one of the 64 that was judged among the top 25% in the island. And that was based on consistent results over 5 years. And then another survey was done recently where they looked at results just for last year alone. And in that survey we were rated among the top 15 in the entire island. So again, we're very proud that we achieved that. So our record is very good, and it has been like that for a long time, and we intend to keep it that way. But we recognize that academics is not the only thing that children need. They need to develop outside of the classroom. And so we have been trying to build a program, an extracurricular program, but with the small numbers, I should tell you that our problem really is we need more students. But what is happening in Jamaica now with the economic climate we are in, people find it very difficult to pay school fees. So they opt for the public schools. However, we all know how good our primary schools were nowadays. but the numbers now are so great that the children really don't get a fair chance in the public schools. The classes are much too big, and the teachers try their best, but it's difficult. So people opt for the private schools because of that mainly. But the fees are difficult because you have to pay 3 times a year. Our fees have been kept deliberately low. And when I say low, we charge 40,000 a term. Most schools are double. Most schools charge 80 and over a term. Some charge 3 times, well, those are top ones. But most schools are in the 80 range. So we are still at 40, trying our best to keep it at 40, because the people we cater to have a difficulty even finding the 40. So we have had cases where I have to mention Holly Hibbert, who has been very generous and has sponsored a child for the last 3 years. She's now in high school, and I want to publicly thank him for his consistent contribution, not just in the way of sponsorship, but generally to the school. And other people have come on board and done it, but not as consistently as he has. So the fees are a difficulty, are a problem for people. But some people try because they recognize that the background the children get is what is important. When they go to high school with a good background, they're not going to make it. We have got very, very good feedback from our graduates who go into high school, largely because we try not to use the rote method of learning. We try to expose the children to more analysis and expression, so we tend to stay away from the multiple choice until it's time for them to get in that, because the exam is a multiple choice exam, but we introduce other things in the curriculum to develop that aspect of their learning. We have literature, which is not a part of the primary curriculum, but we introduce it to give the children that kind of exposure. We have critical thinking, which we teach through the game of chess, and that is done on a weekly basis. And then we also have a science lab to ensure children learn science not from the book, but from the practical experiment. They have to work out the solution for themselves and think about it. And my sister does a science program. She taught Jimmy here, so he can testify that she's a bona fide science teacher. And they do very well there. So in addition to the academics, we are trying to develop the other part of the school. And as I said, our numbers are not large enough for us to compete in a way to win. But that's not our focus, really. Because the children benefit so much from just participating. So we participate in all the sports that are offered. Football, cricket, netball, and athletics. And I said when we participate, it is not to win because we cannot compete with schools with large numbers, but they do well enough that they enjoy it, and we think it teaches them something when learning to participate, learning to win graciously, learning to accept defeat, etc. And then we have also the swimming, but that's an additional cost, off campus of course. And we offer clubs. We do a spelling club, which is fun for the children. They love it because it is not just spelling. It's done in a fun way. They learn the meaning and the derivative, etc. We have a science club, which encourages them to explore and go out and do an experiment to see what ants like to eat and why, etc. We have the Builders Club, which is a junior arm of the Kiwanis. And there they learn to give service, and they go and visit children's homes, etc. And there is an oratorical competition which is held every year by the Kiwanians, and we have done exceptionally well. We have always come in the top, and last year our 2 candidates came first and second in the island, and so we really have maintained a very good record there. This year we were poised to win, and our candidate went and developed chicken pox right after the first round and was eliminated for the finals. But we understood the circumstances, and I think he would have won had he participated. And then we have a quiz club, which sort of reinforces the curriculum, but goes outside the curriculum as well, to prepare them for the quiz on television. And there is a brownie pack for the girls. And then we do, there's no scout troop because we can't find a leader, and that is a problem in Jamaica, to find leaders for the boys. It has been really, really a difficulty, and what is happening now is that all the scout troops are manned by, or woman by women, and so that really defeats the whole purpose. So we're not doing very well with that part of it. But we have karate classes for the boys, and I think that's it, and they do swimming. And they do dancing as well after school. So we're trying to give them a real complete package, so when they leave school they won't just have the academic part, but that still remains the focus, the academics. Because we recognize that they really need that. That will be the base and the foundation for them to move on. So we are building our plant itself. We need to expand. We have acquired a property next door, and we are hoping long term to build an assembly hall, and upstairs we're going to put the offices and a decent library, a decent computer room. What we have now is really an apology because we don't have enough space, and we need to expand those areas because we see the importance of that. And that's about it. I really hope that you will support us, not just today, not just by contribution, but if you ever come to Jamaica, it would be so nice for you to pop in or to call and just keep in touch. I certainly intend to keep in touch with all of you here who leave your name and address, etc., because I would love to maintain this kind of friendship, and I really want to show you how much I appreciate your being here this afternoon and sharing with us. And I'll be happy to answer any further questions. Thank you very much.
Questions for the principal?
Where is the Richmond Park School?
Okay. It's located in Richmond Park, just a little below the Halfway Tree Police Station. As you come down Maxwell Avenue from the Halfway Tree Police Station, you know where that is?
Yes.
By Parish Church. Then you come to Queens Avenue, and as you turn off Maxwell Avenue, it's just a little on around the bend. Not far at all from Maxwell Avenue end.
What's the number?
And 28 Queens Avenue. And the two ladies who went to the school, I would love you to identify yourselves. Okay, it's Andreen and her Aileen, okay, and her sister Carly. And it's really a thrill to see you both, because you were telling me how many memories come back, and it really was good to share with you. And thanks so much for coming. As I said, we really, really appreciate this gathering. Not just because of the school connection, but it's nice to meet you all. I've heard a lot about many of you, having not met you before, so now I can put a face to the name. Thank you.
Before I make my pitch, my wife is rushing me, which is not unusual. Sometime during this afternoon, my son came to me. Where's my Brisha? And Brisha came to me and said he had a surprise for us, but don't tell Phyllis. I never tell her anything. He said that he was bringing Tarrus Riley, who is really one of the top reggae singers in Jamaica. So I wanted to introduce Mr. Tarrus Riley. Is he here? Yes, great to meet you after this time. Let me say something about Tarrus Riley. I think we all know the important role that music plays in our culture. And there's an aspect of the music that has in fact debased the culture. Performers like Tarrus Riley has in fact elevated the music and the culture. And so it's a distinct pleasure to have somebody who has made such a contribution to reggae music to be here present with us. Incidentally, his mother, who is a nurse, lives in Laurelton, and he has this close relationship with his mother. All the ladies want to take photographs today.
I'm in the mix. I'm in the mix. Somebody get that I'd like mash up the party.
Are you ready?
Yes.
I'm sorry, I gotta get this.
Hey, no, I never been sunshine until I seen your eyes. Still I had to try. Yeah. Oh yes, get my words right and then approach you. Treat you like a man is supposed to. Never have to cry. No, I know everyone can relate when they find a special someone. She's right, so right. I want her in my life. Never knew anyone so one of a kind. The way she moved to her own beat, she's got the qualities of a queen. She's a queen. Ooh, that's a natural beauty. She don't even make up to be a beauty. She's a queen, so supreme. And if they ask what's a woman man's made, she's got the free and a shade of who she is. She's royal, yeah, so royal. Oh, I want her in my life. Never knew anyone so one of a kind. Until the night that I see the light. Natural beauty, you know.